We now present For the Record.
Welcome to For the Record. I'm Will Kenneally. Perhaps the biggest news for Wisconsin politics this week came out of a New York courtroom. Former president and current candidate Donald Trump was convicted on 34 felony counts related to his business dealings. It's news that will certainly play a significant role in this year's presidential election, and especially here in the key swing state of Wisconsin. We spoke with the state Republican Party chair, Brian Schimming, shortly after the verdict was handed down.
If anyone is surprised by what happened in this courtroom today, they're the only ones surprised. There are a lot of banana republics that are jealous of the United States court system today.
Joining us now for more is former Republican strategist Brandon Scholz. Thank you. You're exactly the person that we want to talk to to kind of make sense of all this. So my first question, this has been fascinating from some of the, sound kind of analysis that we've heard from people like Brian Schimming, for example, is that this may actually help the Trump campaign into the summer and into the fall. What would factor into that? How would that help them?
Well, Trump has messaged this whole trial and what he's gone through as kind of, pulling sympathy. And I think if you look at some of the polling, you'll see that a couple, maybe 2 or 3 out of 10 Republicans might be, who maybe have not decided, might move over to the Trump side now. But there's still a fairly large contingent of folks that voted for Nikki Haley and DeSantis and others in the primary that while this trial is going on, they may not have necessarily moved. I think it's going to be the next couple of months when the trial continues through the sentencing period and how the Trump campaign messages this, whether they stay on the same track or how the Biden campaign messages it. But to get those Republicans back, they haven't made up their mind yet. I don't know if the sentencing will push them further away or if they will buy into its political retribution. They've weaponized the Justice Department, all the things that former President Trump says, whether that's enough to move these people over.
And we were talking a little bit before the show about the fact that this might put the Biden campaign kind of on their heels, this idea of Biden panic. Can you describe that a little bit?
Well, if you're President Biden or the Biden campaign and you've been watching this thing unfold, nothing you've said about the economy has given you traction and you get credit for, nothing about what's going on in foreign affairs. All of what you might expect to be typical issues in a presidential campaign, that's just not there. You see the vice president out really promoting the Democrat Party's position on abortion. That's almost approaching the base to say, we need you. But Donald Trump has commanded the media. He's got the message. He has put this whole campaign in and around this trial, and he's used it to his advantage. He's garnered sympathy. He's got people to believe that it is political retribution. Right now, my sense is the Biden campaign is on their heels. They haven't been able to deal with the messaging of this trial. Nothing they say from their issues perspective, other than what their base believes, but for those who are going to make a difference, seems to be sticking.
What would it take Republicans broadly to have confidence in what happened in New York? What would that have looked like instead of what we ended up seeing?
Well, if Trump's president and they turn the tables and they take Biden or his son or whoever to trial, maybe that will kind of balance things out for him. It's hard to say how people are reacting to this because they've never before had a situation like this where they've gone after. I mean, how many people remembered Richard Nixon? Probably nobody, the last time there was a crook in office. Whether or not people get past this and focus on the issues that they maybe care about in the kitchen table, economy you mentioned, gas prices, food prices, what's going on the border, social issues that have been there, whether it's gun rights or abortion, all those issues that we've seen in past campaigns that are used to help people make decisions, one way or another, who they're going to vote for. They're not on the table right now. As much as the Biden campaign would love to have them on the table, they're not. And the Trump campaign is absolutely happy to have this trial on the table as the issue that's defining the campaign at this time. Again, the sentencing hearing in July 11th, 2 or 3 days before the national convention, you just don't know what that's going to do. Is it going to reinforce and fuel the fire that Trump has created here with his rhetoric on the trial? Or are people just going to sit back and go, geez, is he going to jail? And then you can have a whole nother show about appeals and what the courts will do and how long this will take and what if it doesn't happen before November and he gets elected and he's in office, he gets convicted. Will, you've got 3 or 4 shows that you can do before you have to get to, coming to an answer.
Well, we promise we will have you back for those shows. Brandon Scholz, thanks so much.
You bet, thank you.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th.
Now, as we mentioned, the Trump verdict also puts significant focus on the legal system and the conservative scrutiny of it. Joining us now for that legal perspective is UW Law Professor John Gross, and thanks so much for joining us.
Sure, happy to be here.
Is there anything in history that you can compare this trial to at all?
Yeah, no, I don't think there really is a comparison. I mean, this is obviously the first time that we've ever had a former president convicted of a felony. This is a fairly serious crime. It's a low-level felony, but I mean, usually being convicted of a felony has serious long-term consequences for folks. Even if they avoid jail, it is something that will follow them. And I think I think the case in New York, I think the prosecution's case was a very strong case. It obviously led to a conviction. They convinced jurors beyond a reasonable doubt that former President Trump was guilty of these multiple felonies. And I think it is unprecedented because typically, if a politician, if someone in the public spotlight is confronted with strong evidence of wrongdoing, they will step out of spotlight. They will not run for office. They will resign. That has been the norm for centuries. And we all know that former President Trump often breaks the norms. And he is again doing just that.
So in civics classes, they kind of teach us that dual layer cake federalism, where things like the federal courts and the state courts are meant to be different. How meaningful is that difference? Is there any practical role that the US DOJ plays here at all?
Well, I mean, former President Trump keeps saying that this New York County, Manhattan prosecution was somehow arranged, initiated, or controlled by either President Biden or the United States Department of Justice. And there is really absolutely no evidence for that. And these are completely separate law enforcement agencies. The Federal Department of Justice has no authority in a state court in New York. They have no authority to compel a New York prosecutor to bring a charge, to not bring a charge. We have a federal system of law enforcement, and we have a state system of law enforcement, and we often have a county by county system of law enforcement at the state level. So this New York prosecution has nothing to do with the Department of Justice. It has nothing to do with President Biden. It's almost, shocking to think of the fact that the Department of Justice that former President Trump seems to think is being directed at him by President Joe Biden, that same Department of Justice has actually indicted and charged President Biden's son with offenses. But there is no connection here. And in fact, what is also interesting is to illustrate this divergence between the authority of law enforcement at the federal level, including the president, who is the chief executive and responsible in some ways for law enforcement at the federal level. A president cannot give you a pardon for a state conviction. A president can pardon you for a federal conviction, but the power pardon, if you're convicted in a state court, lies with that state's governor, which again illustrates we have a federal system where there are federal agencies and there are state agencies.
So you touched on it a little bit there, but is there anything specific that we should expect from the sentencing in this case?
Well, so I guess in another sort of bizarre aspect to the prosecution and conviction of a former president is that he is going to have to report to a probation officer in New York State for a pre-sentence interview and report that they will prepare and give to the judge. And so that's another instance where I fully expect former President Trump to continue to claim that he's innocent, to claim that the judge has conflicts of interest, that this was politically motivated, that there were mistakes made, and that that whatever he says, that report is going to go to the judge.
Professor Gross, thank you. When we come back, Dane County has a new interim county executive. We sit down with Jamie Kuhn for the latest. And later, we'll talk about key campaign issues with Attorney General Josh Kaul. We'll be right back after this.
This portion of News 3 Now is sponsored by Madison Gas and Electric.
MG&E, building your community energy company for the future through the power of working together. Committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Visit MGE2050.com.
Announcing Madison Magazine's Best of Madison Readers Poll for 2024. Vote for the Best of Madison online today, including Buck and Honey's for Best Restaurant, Best Catering, Best New Restaurant, and Best Outdoor Dining. Vote online for Buck and Honey's today. Announcing Madison Magazine's Best of Madison Readers Poll for 2024. Vote for the Best of Madison online today, including StormGuard Roofing and Construction for Best Roofer, Best Window and Doors. Vote for StormGuard on MadisonMagazine.com. Announcing Madison Magazine's Best of Madison Readers Poll for 2024. Vote for the Best of Madison online today, including Woodworks Furniture and Design, Best Furniture. Vote for Woodworks Furniture and Design on MadisonMagazine.com. Announcing Madison Magazine's Best of Madison Readers Poll for 2024. Vote for the Best of Madison online today, including Accelerated Psychiatry for Best Mental Health Facility. Vote for Accelerated Psychiatry and all your favorites at MadisonMagazine.com. Announcing Madison Magazine's Best of Madison Readers Poll for 2024. Vote for the Best of Madison online today, including Graham's Auto and Truck Clinic for Best Non-Dealer Auto Service Shop. Vote for Graham's Auto and Truck Clinic on MadisonMagazine.com. Announcing Madison Magazine's Best of Madison Readers Poll for 2024. Vote for the Best of Madison online today, including Roth Cheese for Best Cheese Producer. Vote for Roth Cheese and all your favorites on MadisonMagazine.com.
MG&E, building your community energy company for the future through the power of working together. Committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Visit MGE2050.com.
Welcome back. It's changing of the guard at the City County building in downtown Madison. Joe Parisi retired as Dane County executive in early May, and the chair of the Dane County board named Jamie Kuhn to replace him until a permanent replacement is elected in November. Joining us now is that executive who will lead the county for the next few months here, Jamie Kuhn. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So 5 whole months you get on the job. Anything kind of immediately, we'll get to some policy stuff later for sure, but any kind of immediate like bucket list items for you?
I mean, this is a transition period, most definitely. So I think the most important thing is really working collaboratively with the board and our agencies to make sure that we, keep the ship on track and, or the train on track, and that we provide some, steady, stable leadership during this period of transition.
So you get that initial call from Patrick Miles saying, hey, we want to appoint you as this interim county executive. What was that call like? What was going through your mind there?
Well, I think, first and foremost, I've always been dedicated to public service, so it's pretty hard to say no to that. But given that it, given that it was a need that needed to be filled, and I obviously have experience on the Dane County board and working with local government, it seemed to make sense. And again, it's more about making sure that I continue to do what's right for the community, and a call to public service is just something that I can't say no to.
Well, I've been fascinated by your background. You've served the public in a variety of capacities. County board, you're the chief of staff for former Senator Mark Miller, served in the Evers administration, the health services department here in the state. With all that perspective, what do you think are some of those challenges that Dane County faces that we can tackle in the short term here?
Yeah, I think, number one is we're going to be rolling right into the budget. We're already getting to work on the budget for the county. It's an annual budget, so we'll start that process, and that's that's a huge undertaking, which we'll get to go through during this 5 to 6 months. So really excited about that. We obviously want to be responsible with taxpayer dollars, but we also have some really important charges as a county to serve our most vulnerable residents, and we will continue to do that. So that's really the first and a thing that we really need to start working on now. And again, the most important thing as we go through this transition period is that we really make sure that we're collaborating with our partners and the supervisors and the agencies to really present a good budget.
So I understand, too, you're the first Asian American woman to hold this role.
Yeah.
That's got to be meaningful as well.
It's absolutely meaningful. I mean, I stand on other people's shoulders, and, you know, representation, as we all know, is really, really important. So I take that. I'm very humbled by this opportunity, and I take it with a tremendous amount of responsibility and in making sure that I do what's right for all of the residents of Dane County.
Yeah, is this actually an office that you ever aspired to, sitting on the county board?
What I would say is that public service, again, is really important to me. So any ways that I can serve, whether my name's on the door or not, is I take with a great honor, and will do everything that I can to do a great job.
The other thing I'm fascinated by is that this kind of interim term is happening during an election for the county board or the county executive going forward. Is there anything that you think voters should know, kind of pay attention during this kind of interim time that might help inform them when they cast their ballots in November?
You know, I think what's most important is that everyone know and get, you know, more information about all of the really important services that Dane County does offer. You know, I think whether you know it or not, Dane County really touches government, has a role in your life, and it's good that you don't notice if you don't, but we really touch people in so many ways that they don't even know. And I think the more awareness that we can bring to county government, so people understand how we provide the services and what services we provide, whether it's, you know, walking into the county park or getting, you know, being able to call 911 and receive emergency services. Those are really important things that we do for the community, and I think anyone who is going to be voting in the next election has the opportunity to learn more, and that awareness is just going to help them decide.
Well, Jamie Kuhn, we wish you the best for these 5 months that we have you here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back after this.
Bad sleep?
The worst.
There's really no excuse for bad sleep during the extended Memorial Day sale at Denver Mattress. Right now, the more you buy, the more you save. Get $100 off every $1,000 you spend and watch the savings stack up. Or check out the Summit Easy on the Wallet for only $299.99. Save up to $200 on our Doctor's Choice lineup, plus 6 years no interest and free shipping. Hurry! The extended Memorial Day sale at Denver Mattress ends Thursday.
Want to instantly look more attractive and years younger? The solution is whiter teeth. But you love coffee and tea, maybe even wine or smoking. It's time you discovered Power Swabs.
The first time I tried it, my husband was so excited. And he said, I can't believe how white your teeth are. From that point on, I've been sold.
Power Swabs are guaranteed to whiten your teeth up to 2 shades after the first application. After 5-minute daily treatments for the next week, your teeth will be an average of 6 shades whiter. Call this Memorial Day to receive 50% off.
From midnight tweets to drinking bleach to tear-gassing citizens and staging a photo op, we knew Trump was out of control when he was president. Then he lost the 2020 election and snapped, desperately trying to hold on to power. Now he's running again, this time threatening to be a dictator, to terminate the Constitution.
If I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Trump wants revenge, and he'll stop at nothing to get it.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Hanson's knows that your home is a place of comfort and protection. That's why our durable, energy-efficient, and weather-resistant windows, roofing, siding, and gutters, as well as our bathtubs and showers, are guaranteed. With over 30 years' experience and thousands of 5-star reviews, we're your trusted home improvement expert. Get 50% off installation or enjoy no interest and no payments for 1 year.
Call 1-800-HANSONS. Get it done.
Welcome back. This election will be dominated by a litany of different issues, like abortion and immigration, for example. One issue, though, that Democrats tell me they intend to focus on is gun safety legislation. One of the Biden campaign surrogates here in Wisconsin is Attorney General Josh Kaul. He joins us now. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, happy to.
So you function as both kind of the state's top cop, a little bit of a nonpartisan hat that you wear, but you also wear the hat of being a statewide elected Democrat. So what's the importance of this election from your perspective there, and what's your role stumping for Biden-Harris here?
Well, there are a lot of critical issues at stake in the presidential election this year, but one of them where there's such a clear contrast is on public safety generally, and in particular on safety from gun violence. Donald Trump has an anti-public safety record when it comes to this issue. He's supported by the NRA, and he has stood in the way of common sense gun safety measure. The Biden administration, on the other hand, has an incredibly impressive record on this issue. President Biden signed the most significant piece of bipartisan gun safety legislation in nearly 30 years. And the difference in viewpoints on this issue couldn't be clearer. Here in Wisconsin, our communities have seen an improvement in public safety over the last year, but we are still facing much higher levels of gun violence and other forms of violence that are acceptable. And there's a lot we need to be doing to address this, but one of them is to make sure that we've got common sense gun safety laws in place.
So in recent years, we've seen gun control handled a little bit at the state level for Wisconsin, things like red flag laws, for instance. What role does the federal government play in that policy? Or is there financial ways that the federal government steps in to help states like Wisconsin here?
Well, it's a number of things. So first, there are federal rules, and states often have rules that are very similar to the federal rules. So, for example, there are prohibitions on felons possessing a firearm. That's a federal law. There are also comparable state laws. So first of all, having some common sense rules at the federal level can help, particularly because, of course, guns can be transported from one state to another. And so having a prohibition on ghost guns in one state but not another can lead to them getting into both states pretty easily. There are also significant resources provided to public safety issues. And one where there's another clear contrast impacting public safety is funding for law enforcement. President Biden has been a consistent supporter of providing the kind of funding we need to keep our communities safe. Donald Trump, we have seen launch attacks on the justice system, on the FBI. To continue having functioning public safety proposals and public safety efforts here in Wisconsin and around the country, there's a clear choice, and Joe Biden is the better candidate.
When you think of issues on the campaign trail, you think of things like abortion, immigration, the economy, perhaps. How resonant of an issue do you think this will be for voters, especially staying through November?
Well, I think public safety is a big issue. I mean, what we saw during the Trump administration in a lot of cases was chaos. We saw a president who would fan the flames of division. And what we've seen with Joe Biden is somebody who has been steady in the Oval Office and has made smart, thoughtful decisions. Now, of course, there are going to be other really important issues in this race, including the economy. We've seen huge job growth under President Biden, stark contrast with what happened when Donald Trump was in office. And abortion is going to be a big issue again. And there again, there's a very clear difference. Donald Trump has bragged about his role in having Roe v. Wade overturned. That led to Wisconsin not having access to safe and legal abortion for about 15 months. Fortunately, that has been restored through the case that we're litigating, but there still remains a lot of concern about the future of reproductive freedoms, in significant part because of Donald Trump's actions appointing the justices he did. Joe Biden has been a clear supporter of reproductive freedom. So on that issue, like gun safety and like other issues, there's a really stark contrast in this race.
So on the flip side, on the right, you see some activism certainly around the Second Amendment. Is there a concern that this could motivate Republicans?
Well, I think it's important to note that the kinds of proposals that Joe Biden has talked about, the kinds of proposals that I have suggested, are completely consistent with our Second Amendment rights. I'll give you an example. Having universal background checks for firearm sales, that doesn't stop anybody who's lawfully allowed to own a gun from getting one. What it does is it makes sure that we're checking to prevent people who are prohibited from owning a gun from getting one. Right now in Wisconsin, because we don't have universal background checks, a person can sell guns out of the trunk of their car to a stranger, and because that's a private sale, that doesn't have to go through a background check process. Having some common sense processes in place will help keep our community safe and help keep guns out of the hands of people who we know to be dangerous.
Attorney General Josh Kaul, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be right back after this.
Don't miss A1 Furniture's Memorial Day sale. $1 million in inventory must be sold. Two-piece sofa and love seat or sectional only $9.99. Recliners from $2.99. Lift recliners $9.99. No interest financing for 12 months. Only at A1 Furniture.
Announcing Madison Magazine's Best of Madison Readers Poll for 2024. Vote for the Best of Madison online today, including Revival Infusion Madison for Best Mental Health Facility. Vote for Revival Infusion Madison online today. Announcing Madison Magazine's Best of Madison Readers Poll for 2024. Vote for the Best of Madison online today, including Above Average Moving for Best Moving Company. Vote for Above Average Moving and all your favorites online today. Announcing Madison Magazine's Best of Madison Readers Poll for 2024. Vote for the Best of Madison online today, including Buck and Honey's for Best Restaurant, Best Catering, Best New Restaurant, and Best Outdoor Dining. Vote online for Buck and Honey's today. Announcing Madison Magazine's Best of Madison Readers Poll for 2024. Vote for the Best of Madison online today, including First Choice Dental for Best Dental Practice and Best Orthodontic Practice. Vote for First Choice Dental on MadisonMagazine.com.
I've been with U.S. Cellular for 27 years. They've always taken care of me. But when they asked me to talk to you about their special customer event, Us Days, I said, I gotta get in shape. So they sent me this Hollywood trainer. Oh, this guy's no joke. Us Days means exclusive deals just for us customers.
Now let's try burpees. Us Days is back at U.S. Cellular. Current customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet.
It's A1 Furniture's Memorial Day sale on now. Incredible prices on Spring Air mattresses, queen size from $2.99. Get a free adjustable base with purchase of mattress $9.99 or more. Only at the A1 Furniture and Mattress Memorial Day sale.
Welcome back. Two other news items to keep on your radar this week. Organizers looking to oust the state's powerful assembly speaker have turned in recall petition signatures to the state's elections commission. Now, this is their second attempt at a recall against Speaker Voss after the first attempt failed to get enough signatures in his newly redrawn district.
We are highly confident that we have the sufficient number, at least 6,850.
Now, Wisconsin Elections Commission staff will work to verify the signatures that they submitted. And this weekend also marks the beginning of June, which is Pride Month. Governor Evers raised the Progress Pride flag over his wing of the state capitol on Friday.
Raising the Pride flag above the Wisconsin state capitol sends a clear, unequivocal, and decisive message that in Wisconsin, all are welcome.
And that does it for us this week. I'm Will Kenneally. Have a great rest of your weekend.